Good evening, watching the 7 o'clock English news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Preparations for the joint Omani-British exercise Swift Sword 3 top the talks of His Excellency the Minister responsible for Defence Affairs with British Chief of Joint of Operations. The ministerial meeting of the Road to Universal Health Coverage in the Eastern Mediterranean region concludes in Salalah. As a tropical cyclone Jebi strikes Japan, the Sultan's embassy in Tokyo assures that all Omani students studying there are safe. And the Sohar Port signs agreement to upgrade its facilities. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. Ongoing preparations for the joint Omani-British exercise Swift Sword 3 to be implemented during the first half of October were the centre of talks of His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Harib Al Busaidi, Minister responsible for Defence Affairs, with Vice Admiral Timothy Fraser, Chief of British Joint Operations, who is currently on a visit to the Sultanate. They discussed a number of issues of common concern and reviewed aspects of existing military cooperations between the two countries. His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Defence Affairs, stressed the importance of the exercise for the Omani and British sides as it achieves targeted objectives and embodies the deep-rooted historical relations binding the two countries and military cooperation between the armed forces. From his side, Vice Admiral, the Chief of British Joint Operations, commended the preparations and readiness for Swift Sword 3 exercise and the message it represents of good existing cooperation between the two countries. The ministerial meeting, the Road to Universal Health Coverage in the Eastern Mediterranean region, EMR, concluded today in Salalah in the Governorate of Dhofar. And more details in the full report with Abdullah bin Ahmed Arbay.
In Salalah, the ministerial meeting, the Road to the Universal Health Coverage in the Eastern Mediterranean region, concluded. The meeting, of which resulted in issuing the Salalah Declaration on Universal Health Coverage, the declaration called the health policy makers to define a context-specific essential health service package to be based on globally and regionally identified universal health coverage priority benefit packages, taking into consideration each country's burden of disease, economic imperatives and people's preferences, establish, reconfigure prepayment arrangements for various population groups, leaving no one behind to be financed via budget allocation and or mandatory contributions to reduce fragmentation, enhance equity and promote financial and social protection, dedicated strong and continuous attention to quality and patient safety in healthcare systems in both the public and non-profit and for-profit private sectors, with an emphasis on engaging and empowering people to improve health care access.
The Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 3 is mainly about health, and this conference, which was attended by many of my colleagues, ministers from the region and experts from different corners of the world, stressed on these points. Whenever we invest in health, it is an investment. It is not waste of money, and I think from countries like Oman and many fortunate countries who have the facilities, who have the mean, we should always strive to raise the standard of healthcare in other countries in the region. With the leadership of WHO, with the determination of all of us, I think we can reach that goal and nobody should be left behind. Refugees in our region deserve healthcare as much as anybody else, and they will never be forgotten.
The declaration also called the development partners to support countries' efforts by sharing global best practices, building national capacities, supporting inclusive policy dialogue on strengthening health systems to advance universal health coverage.
The outcome is really very great. I am very happy and I'm very pleased of the outcome. There has been so many discussions, technical discussions from experts, from people from within the region and outside, from member states, showing the interest and the willingness of getting the universal health coverage and its elements to be implemented at all levels. And I'm really very happy of the meeting because it has been attended by most of the ministers in the member states, and those who did not attend, they were planning to attend, but because of reasons outside their control, they could not make it. They delegated their seniors to attend the meeting. We have signed the compact yesterday for 2030, universal health coverage, the global compact, and today, declaration was announced, Salalah declaration on universal health coverage is announced, and I'm really very happy of this sort of commitment from all levels within member states.
The ministerial meeting sought to achieve several objectives, including introducing the policymakers to the most up-to-date knowledge and thinking on health systems, universal health coverage and sustainable development goals, SDG, and sharing global best practices in effectively advancing universal health coverage through health system strengthening.
First of all, I want to thank His Excellency the Minister of Health of Oman and Dr. Mandari, Emirate Director, for this amazing organization and hospitality. The main thing, I guess, is to have the commitment of all the member states about reaching universal health coverage by 2030 is the key message. We've discussed also how to develop innovative ways to raise funds and to finance and to promote a sustainable health coverage for all population for the region. In Morocco we've reached 64% of health coverage, and we aim to reach 94% by the year 2021, and it's a Moroccan government commitment.
And thus, the ministerial meeting concluded with the Salalah Declaration on universal health coverage in the Eastern Mediterranean region, as all have reaffirmed their commitment to accelerating progress towards universal health coverage in all countries of Eastern Mediterranean region by being both a desirable and a possible policy goal at all levels of national income. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubi'i, Sultanate of Oman Television, Salalah, Governorate of Dhafar.
The Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries praised the success of the Sultanate in conducting the regional exercise to face dangers of tsunami yesterday. The Council stressed the Sultanate's readiness to deal with any warning of tsunami, pointing out to the importance of implementing such field exercises to raise the level of awareness among all segments of the society. The exercise is considered the biggest in the region, with the participation of 23 countries on the Indian Ocean. 51,000 job seekers are registered in the Sultanate. This was stressed by the Public Authority for Manpower Register in a statement to Sultanate of Oman Radio and Television. Earlier, the Ministry of Manpower affirmed that some establishments in the private sector have not cooperated with regard to employment process, and legal actions were taken against them. Meanwhile, official figures show that more than 42,000 job seekers were employed since the Council of Ministers' decision on employment. The number of jobs created in the government bodies amounted to 4,000 job opportunities. The number of male job seekers amounted to 19,000 and female job seekers reached 32,000. The Embassy of the Sultanate of Oman in Japan assured the safety of Omani students studying in Japan. The embassy said that it is following up with utmost attention the tropical cyclone Jabi and its impact, stressing in its official account on Twitter that it is in contact with students in various areas affected by the cyclone Jabi, which was described by observers as the strongest cyclone that has struck Japan since a quarter of a century. The embassy wished the friendly people of Japan and all residents there a safe to stay. Still to come, a news bulletin. Cruise ship season starts in the Sultanate, activating the maritime tourism. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. To discuss the widespread of digital news at the expense of traditional newspapers, the Cultural Club organized a lecture in this regard. The lecture, which was delivered by Ghassani Al-Shahabi, a Bahraini media specialist, discussed the main challenges facing traditional newspaper institutions, highlighting statistics on the newspaper purchase volumes and the impact of social media platforms. The lecturer supported his concern about the future of traditional news in the era of internet by stating that there are over 4 billion people using internet, a figure that ordinary news on TV channels cannot hope to achieve. With the participation of 23 countries, the Sultanate takes part in the Indian Ocean Wave 18 exercises, with a drill that was held in the Sawadi coastal area in Barka. More details with the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan Rahbi.
As-Sawadi village in the Wilaya of Barka witnessed an exceptional event where large-scale community participation took place in the regional drill of tsunami risks, which revealed full readiness in anticipation of the exposure of the coasts of the Sultanate to any adverse conditions due to its geographical location, which is overlooking the Indian Ocean.
Today at the Sawadi Sahel, we have managed to do evacuation for about 5,000 people. The drill started internationally in the Indian Ocean Rim at exactly 10 a.m. local time. So all countries in the Indian Ocean participated in this drill. Here, the drill is actually about an earthquake that was which triggered tsunami over the Gulf of Oman. From that tsunami, waves arrived to As-Sawadi in about 25 minutes. Messages were sent to the locals asking them to evacuate.
The alarm was intended for self-evacuation, following particular tracks in a specific period of time to achieve this goal. Thanks to the joint efforts which made such important exercise a success, the drill contributed in raising the level of awareness of tsunami risks, which was handled professionally by the Executive Office of the National Committee for Civil Defense, subcommittees and other institutions, through means of providing direct support to the citizens and residents and logistical support from various sectors.
We had an early warning report from the National Early Warning Center this morning at 10 a.m. of a 9.0 earthquake magnitude that affected Makran subduction zone, which resulted in a tsunami waves which reached this area. Immediately, the warnings were sent to the local community here, who was aware and educated on the past 3 weeks. Immediately, locals, the local community took the initiatives and did self-evacuation. And this is really the major thing in this situation here, that we do not wait for authorities to evacuate us. Rather, we take the initiative by ourselves and evacuate ourselves and go far to safer areas. So we have reached that goal, alhamdulillah, and we hope this is an initiative initiative that will be going from a place to another in the coastal areas here in Oman, and the result of this exercise will be an education and awareness tool that will be used throughout the Sultanate and probably beyond.
The operational officers during the drill demonstrated an outstanding efficiency in dealing with such circumstances. The media center was accompanied by instant guidance to the citizens to complement the efforts of the civil defense in reducing the risks of similar climate conditions. This exercise is a rewarding experience for the concerned parties and the local communities in the Sultanate towards achieving community resilience and readiness for such adverse climate situations in the future. From the Wilaya of Barka, Salih bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, South al-Batina, Governorate.
Sohar Port and Free Zone signed an agreement to upgrade its fleet with Svitzer, which is part of the Danish business conglomerate LP. The agreement contains the delivery of several services like provision of effective and optimal towing services around the clock to facilitate ship movement, and operation and maintenance of pilot ships to maintain safe and efficient inbound and outbound vessel movement, crew manning services, and transshipment using the highest level of HSE standards. Sohar Port recently received 4 RTG cranes as part of its expansion program to develop the port, which is also included the additional 33 tractor trailers to its fleet. Andrew Dowse, CEO of Port of Salalah, stated that adding these new cranes will ensure that the company will have the best operational fleet in the capacity to serve the growing needs of its customers. Salalah Port stated in their website that these new cranes will be commissioned soon after passing operational testing and safety certifications. With the start of cruise ship season, the main ports in the Sultanate will start receiving the big ships carrying over 2,000 passengers. The cruise ship market is considered one of the main pillars that will contribute in the economic revenues and diversifying income means. Our reporter Salih bin Khalfan al-Rahbi has more details in the following report.
The cruise ship industry is one of the most promising and sustainable tourism sectors. This is what the Ministry of Tourism confirms, as the Sultanate is a tourist attraction. In a few days, the cruise ship season will begin, and major ports in Oman will receive giant vessels of all sizes.
In the Sultanate of Oman, we are witnessing a good increase in the number of visit of the ships and also to the number of passengers coming through these visits. We're expecting through this season the number of visits to reach more than 260 visits through our 3 ports, Khasab and Muscat and Salalah.
The cruise ship market is considered one of the pillars of the tourism progress in the Sultanate. It is hoped that it will contribute to enhancing income and diversifying its sources, especially that prominent cruise ships will visit the country. Each cruise ship will carry more than 2,500 tourists.
The 2018-2019 cruise season is very highly anticipated. We are anticipating a 33% growth in the number of cruise vessels that will come here, which means a 33% growth in the increase in passenger traffic. But what is more interesting is that we need to attract more cruise vessels to start and end their journeys in the region in Oman, so that we start handling not just cruise passengers, but also transit passengers who come in by air from Europe and other countries into Oman, use our airport, use our transport, and then get into the cruise vessels and perhaps even stay a night or 2 extra in order to see a little bit of Muscat in the surrounding areas.
The cruise ships will visit 3 ports in the Sultanate, namely Port Sultan Qaboos, Salalah Port, and Khasab Port, with a future plan to work on developing some ports to be used for receiving cruise ships, which are the ports of Sohar, Sur, Duqm, and Suwayq. It is expected that 260 cruise ships will visit the Omani ports this year, at a time when the number of the visitors to the ports of the Sultanate by the end of 2017 reached about 220,000 visitors. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
The statistics by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth clarified that the sales of 256 tons of fish reached around 300,000 Omani riyals during August 2018. The statistics of Central Fish Market in the Wilaya of Barka pointed out that the economic index of the unloaded fish quantities and value witnessed an increase during the same period. To provide facilities and sale points for small and medium-sized enterprises in commercial complexes in the Sultanate, the Zubair Center for Small Enterprises signed a memorandum of understanding with Muscat Grand Mall MGM. It came within the framework to activate joint cooperation in serving small institutions and entrepreneurship in Oman through providing sale points and an area of holding activities related to small-sized enterprises. This is the Sultanate Oman Television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Preparations of the joint Omani-British exercise Swift Sword 3 topped the talks of His Excellency the Minister responsible for Defence Affairs with British Chief of Joint Operations. The ministerial meeting of the Road to Universal Health Coverage in the Eastern Mediterranean region concludes in Salalah. The tropical cyclone Jabi strikes Japan. The Sultan's embassy in Tokyo assures that all Omani students studying there are safe. And the Sohar Port signs an agreement to upgrade its facilities. And we'll have come to the end of tonight's news bulletin from all of us here in the newsroom and the studios. Thanks for watching. Good night.